Hello, hello. How is everybody doing this morning? I just made a last minute change to the slideshow, so I might be starting a few seconds late. And yes, I should probably oil this chair. We'll start in about 33 seconds once I make sure that everything is working right. Oh, you can really hear that chair creak, can't you? Let's see here, 21 seconds. It looks like everything's working properly. If I look a little tired, it's because I was up late last night doing a live lesson. So let me get my slides on this screen ready to go. Start in 8 seconds. I think I'm ready. Here we go. What do I click on? Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about describing things and places. I think a more accurate title would be describing old things, or things that are getting old, or describing ugly things, or things that don't look great. I don't think I'll be describing anything that looks beautiful in this lesson. I will certainly be describing a lot of things that look like this building, a little bit run down, a little bit ramshackle, a little bit derelict. And I'll describe all of those terms and more in this lesson. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about describing things and places. Hopefully you're able to learn some new vocabulary. Hey, I'm tired. If you don't know, I was up late last night. My channel reached 2 million subscribers last night. And I went to bed after 3, I think. I know I slept for about 4 hours, and now I am back doing an English lesson. So just give me a moment to double check. I click that button. I click that button. People are saying hi in the chat. That's good. I think I did everything right. In the chat, Hockey says, hi, Bob. Congratulations. Lolly says, woohoo. Ralph says, smash that like button. Vitor showing a picture of my face. Hafiez says, feels like deja vu. Yes, welcome back, Hafiez. It was really fun to see a lot of you at the live celebration lesson in the middle of the night for me. And thank you again for all of you who have ever clicked that subscribe button to help me get to this milestone. A milestone is like a cool spot on your journey in life. Like graduating from school is a milestone. Getting to 1 million subscribers was a milestone. Getting to 2 million is a milestone as well. So thank you very, very, very much. A few things before we start this lesson. Please have fun, good English conversations in the chat. If you have a question, please use the link that will be shared in the chat. It's also in the description below this video. If you have any questions about describing things and places. I have to think of a better title for this. You'll see once I start the lesson. Anyways, here we go. An eyesore. When you describe something as an eyesore, it means that you don't like how it looks. If you're familiar with the word eye, this is my eye, and the word sore, like if you hurt yourself, you have a sore. Sometimes you might describe a building or an old piece of furniture or an old car that's just sitting in front of someone's house as an eyesore. You would prefer that things look newer, or at least if the windows weren't all broken like on this building. Maybe someone has an old car in their front yard and you would like it if they would get rid of it. It's an eyesore. So when you say something is an eyesore, it simply means it looks ugly and old and it's falling apart and it should just be cleaned up, towed away, fixed up, or maybe even demolished. Maybe this building needs to be demolished, like flattened, so they can build new ones. Who knows? Lackluster. So when something is lackluster, it means that it's kind of boring. It's kind of plain. There's nothing amazing about it. This couch is a little bit lackluster. By the way, there are 2 spellings of lackluster. You can flip the E and R and spell it the American way. This is, I think, the Canadian and British way. You can describe many things as lackluster. A boring English lesson can be lackluster. A 4-door car that's just painted gray and doesn't have anything extra, you could say is lackluster. But certainly when I look at this coach, it looks kind of lackluster. It doesn't look comfortable. It's not a very nice color. I'm not sure where it is. It looks like there's water on the floor. That's a little bit strange, but I would describe it as lackluster, or boring would be another word you could use. Boarded up. You probably have driven by buildings in your city or town that have been boarded up. When they take wood or plywood and put it over the windows and doors, we say that a building is boarded up. Often, old buildings like this one, when the windows start to break, they will then decide to board up the building. In my town, there's one building that is boarded up. I should actually make a video in front of it someday. It's boarded up because no one's using it. They're not sure what the current owner is going to do with it, and they don't know what the next owner will do with it. So in order to protect the windows, or maybe they're already broken, they have boarded up the building. Decrepit. We also use this to describe really old people. I just thought of that. People who can hardly walk, we say sometimes are decrepit. It's not a nice description. But when you say a building is decrepit, it means it's starting to have major problems. You can see there's a large crack. This building has a large crack beside the window. When I think of something that is decrepit, it makes me think of something that's going to fall down soon. So yes, an old person who's decrepit might fall down, but also buildings like this one, I would say, are decrepit. At any moment, if there's a little earthquake or if the wind blows too hard, the building might fall over. It is decrepit. And ramshackle is similar, but it doesn't have to be ready to fall down. It just has to look like someone isn't taking care of it. You can see here some of the plaster has fallen off the building. The chimney on the roof looks like it could be fixed up a little bit. It looks like it's kind of worn from the weather. The roof probably leaks. So this is definitely not a new house. It's definitely old, and it's starting to look old. So we would say it is ramshackle. It's always nice to live in a newer apartment, but maybe you live in an older part of town and you live in kind of a ramshackle apartment. That wouldn't be very nice. As a university student, I lived in one house in my time at university that I would describe this way. The rent was really, really cheap, but it wasn't a great house to live in. It was a ramshackle house. Dated. So this is a good one too. It might take me a few seconds to explain this. When something is dated, it means it looks really, really old. When something is dated, it means it's no longer in style. It's no longer fashionable. Sometimes people think my shirts look a little dated because they're from about 10 or 15 years ago. This carpet definitely looks dated. It looks like it's from the 1970s. The paneling on the far wall, the wood paneling, looks a little bit dated. It looks like it's from the 80s, the 70s, or 80s. And if you look way over on the far side, the couch and the curtains on the wall look very dated. This simply means something is more than 20 or 30 years old. You know, styles come and go. The way things look kind of comes and goes. And sometimes if you don't, paint something or change something every 20 or 30 years, it starts to look dated. When we moved into this house, after we bought this house from my mom, some of the rooms were painted in colors that didn't look fresh and new. It looked dated. So we painted every room before we moved in. Run down. Notice there's kind of a building theme here. This building is starting to look run down. When you say a building is run down, it means it's again starting to have problems. There's a hole in the ceiling. I think these windows, it looks like something's growing on the windows. Definitely it's not used. This building doesn't look used to me. Oh, and there's another hole on the far side of the ceiling. There's a hole in the roof. By the way, the ceiling is what you look up at. If you climb onto a building and look down, That's the roof. So it's just the two different sides. But in this case, I could say the ceiling has a hole in it or the roof has a hole in it, because it wouldn't matter which side I'm standing on to look at it. There's a hole on both sides. But this place definitely looks run down. Yeah, it needs someone to take care of it. Hey, let's look at a question from a previous video. If I seem a little bit like a robot this morning, if I'm moving along too quickly, again, it's because I was up late doing a live stream, but I still really wanted to do this live stream. I wanted to make sure that you guys had a good English lesson for the weekend, but I do want to stop and say hi. Andres says, hello, everyone. Long time no see. Let's see. Hafia says, is the opposite full luster? No, that'd be a good word though, wouldn't it? But it's definitely lackluster. Is full luster, lackluster. Just the lackluster one. We should try to add that word to the English dictionary. Afiaz also says the residents of Florida boarded up their windows due to the hurricane. Oh, that's a good point. Sometimes a building is boarded up because it's old and the windows are broken. But sometimes people do it to protect a building when a storm is coming. Etienne says, hello, everyone. Hafia says, I can hear jazz music just by looking at that dated slide. Yeah, some of these are really dated. By the way, if anyone has a suggestion for a better title for this lesson, let me know in the chat. That would be great. Hey, if you're one of the 211 people watching, don't forget to click that subscribe button. And I am going to get to the questions now. Let me see if I can get the first one. So there's going to be a lot of congratulations in here, and I am going to read them. Ruslan says, congratulations on 2 million subscribers. Teacher Bob, if teaching were a vacation spot, you'd be the must-visit destination. I like that sentiment for sure. Next question from Zeravan. Hi, Bob. After 2 million, how do you feel now? Just tired, but actually quite excited. I think when I hit 1 million, I was really, really excited. But this, I feel like once I passed 1 million, I didn't expect it to keep going. So I feel very thankful. I feel very tired. And I'm just really excited. I'm just kind of, in English, you would say, I'm pumped. I'm feeling very pumped. Would you explain this? He is legally blind. So when you have your eyesight checked by an eye doctor, at a certain point, if your vision has deteriorated far enough, you're considered legally blind. You can still see, like you can see light and shapes, but you need glasses, possibly the strongest prescription. I don't know the exact details, but it just means that a doctor has tested your eyes and they are not good. Your eyesight is not good at all. From Fatima, why is English important? It's, it could be argued that it's beneficial to learn English if you're going to do business or travel. But it's also one of the most common languages used in business in the world. And many universities are English-speaking universities. Some of the universities people would like to go to are English-speaking. So there's a lot of reasons why it is important. Sayla says, welcome, Teacher Bob. Congratulations on reaching 2 million followers. Keep going. There is no limit to ambition. I would say there's no limit to, if I try really hard to make good lessons, there are definitely people who like watching them. So I will keep on doing that. Keep on going. Bridget says, here, many people boarded their houses up before the flood was coming in the Rhine area in Germany. Yes, and Hafia has mentioned that as well. Sometimes you will board up your house before bad weather comes. Flooding, rain, wind, hurricanes, tornadoes. It's a good idea to board up your house. Hafia says, I think -20 power on an eye prescription would be considered as legally blind, among other things. Yeah. And it may prevent you from driving a car. That might happen earlier in the eyesight process as well. But yes. Orsi says, hi, Bob. I've seen the no loitering sign in many places in the US. What does that actually mean? It means you can't hang around there. So if you go to a store And there's a sign on the front of the store that says no loitering. It means you can't stand with your friends and talk. It means you can't sit there all afternoon and eat your lunch. For people who smoke, it means you can't stand there and smoke a cigarette. So no loitering means you can't stand here, you can't sit here, you must move on. No loitering. Let's see. Alexander says, congrats. Since the end of 2020, demographic trends in Canada have shifted significantly. The fertility rate reached a record low of 1.33 children per woman in 2022. So the fertility rate is basically the amount of kids that people have. And in Canada, it is dropping, as it does in most developed countries, I guess would be the word. I'm not sure. I don't know all of the details about that one. But yes, that is certainly happening. From Hockey, some people find modern architecture very boring and ugly. What's your opinion? Thank you so much. I like old buildings, but I'm also very practical. So I know we can't save all our old buildings, but we should save and preserve some of them. I think modern architecture for office buildings can look very boring, but for houses, it can be kind of nice. I like some of the modern designs for houses. It's very, very cool. Let's see here. From Eric. Hi, Bob. Congrats for hitting 2 million. How do you feel when you think that you can change lives around the world with your English classes? Honestly, I don't really think about that too much. It's kind of hard to know how big a difference you're making. I do find many comments that people leave below a video very heartwarming, very touching, very kind. I do appreciate reading them. I don't know how would I say I feel. I'm just very happy that I've been able to provide English lessons. When someone leaves a comment and says, I've watched your videos for 3 years and I just passed my English test, I'm just really happy for that person. I'm happy I made the lesson, but I'm also happy for that person. In English, when you're happy for someone else, it means if someone wins a race, they're happy and you're happy because you are happy they won the race. You can be happy for someone else. Newton. And a few more and we'll get back to the lesson. What tips can you give me to practice English on my own? So you can do a lot of reading, listening, and a bit of writing by yourself. You can do some speaking by yourself, but it is always good to get a tutor. So let me back up a bit. Make sure you're reading every day, or at least focusing on reading 1 day a week and then doing a little bit every other day. Do a lot of listening. These are the things that are well, you have to find the time, but they're easy to do because you don't need another person. So read simple Wikipedia, watch YouTube videos, listen to English music, do a lot of that. Do some writing, but do some writing where you can get some feedback. I highly recommend that people hire a tutor on Preply or one of the other services. There's a link below. That's why I'm pointing. And then especially find time to talk to an English speaking partner. You can find one of those on Preply as well. 30 minutes a week or an hour a week if you can afford it. It's just really good. But yes, speaking on your own, you can speak out, you can say things out loud. You can narrate your life. Like you can say, right now, I'm watching a live stream. Later, I'm going to go to work. So you just say out loud the things you're doing. You can read out loud. You can sing along to songs. Find as many ways as possible to do things in English that you can. Rebaz says, hi from Soran in Kurdistan. What is the difference between shabby, old, and ancient? So let me do this backward. Ancient would be like hundreds of years old or 1,000 or 2,000 years old. You know, there are ancient buildings in Greece. They are really, really old. Shabby can be used to describe something that's just falling apart. You know, like if this button was gone on my shirt and this sleeve had a little rip in it, I could say it looks kind of shabby. You can use it to describe a building as well. You know, maybe it needs paint on the outside or part of the roof is like some of the shingles are turned. And then old is just the general term, the term we use to describe anything that isn't new. Furkan says, is Brent here? I haven't seen Brent yet. Maybe we will see him. Vitor says, I watch Bob since 2020 every day. That's cool. That's cool to know that you've been around so long. Yes, Hafia says he could be on the way to class to teach, or he could still be sleeping. Yeah, I'm not sure if Brent has today off. I know I do. Key Park is here. It says, sorry, I'm late. No problem. Let's see. Zhanglu, do you think it is a good idea to write text and chat with ChatGPT for practicing English conversation, considering we don't have much opportunities to talk to foreigners? Yes, but it's still very important to talk to a real person. And here's the reason. The reason you're learning English is so that you can talk to actual people. When you talk to an AI, you aren't nervous. You aren't worried what they think. It's like playing solitaire, right? With cards. When you talk to a person, you have a lot more emotions happening. You're stressed, you're nervous, you're worried you're going to say something wrong. So if you practice with ChatGPT for a long time, you're still going to have those problems when you have your first English conversation. So for sure, practice with ChatGPT, but make sure you're practicing with a human. Mode says, hey, I haven't seen a live lesson in ages. Yeah, there's so few and far between. There's a nice phrase for everybody. Okay, here we go. Abandoned. So this can mean a building is really old, or it can even be newer. It simply means that no one lives there or no one works there anymore. An abandoned building can look like this, where things are starting to, it looks a little bit decrepit. It looks a little bit, what are some of the other words? Like ramshackle. It looks a little run down. But did I do run down? Yeah, that was just the last one. But definitely abandoned also includes the fact that no one lives there. An abandoned house doesn't have any people living in it. An abandoned building, there are no people who go and work there every day. So it usually means something that's old and maybe run down, but it can also be a new building. Sometimes there's actually a building close to me where they almost finished building it and then they boarded it up and it's just abandoned. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the story is. It's a mystery. Dilapidated. So it's kind of a funny word and it's not used too often, but I do hear it every once in a while. Dilapidated means well used. I thought this couch was a great example. This picture of a couch came from furniture used in university housing or dorms. So it has duct tape on it. It's definitely, people have sat here a lot because the cushions are starting to get a little squished. So when something's dilapidated, it can still be used, but it's going to look really, really run down and worn out. If a car is dilapidated, it might have rust on it. It might have a door that doesn't quite close right. It definitely means that something is old, worn, well used would be another way to describe it. Dilapidated. I try to get rid of my vehicles before they are dilapidated. Oh, here we go. More with vehicles. A rust bucket. So this is an informal term for a really old car that has rust on it. This car has some rust on the front. And this is only used for a car. Like, oh, I'm going to put my sports car in the garage for the winter and I'm just going to drive an old rust bucket. That means you're going to find a car that runs, but that, yeah, definitely has rust on it. It's kind of a funny term, a rust bucket. I try also not to have rust buckets for vehicles, but my one van is a bit of a rust bucket now. It has a little bit of rust along the bottom on both sides. So hopefully it lasts a little bit longer. Falling to pieces or falling apart. This is a phrase, term that I've taught in other lessons. When something is falling to pieces or falling apart, it literally has pieces disappearing. So this row of, I guess, couches, chairs, there's no cushions in the bottom. They've fallen apart. It's probably rotted, and there's no way that you could sit in these. We had a bread machine in our kitchen and the lid didn't close right, and it would fall off sometimes, and then it was just starting to fall apart. So it was falling to pieces. It was falling apart. Definitely time to replace something if it's starting to fall apart. A gut job. So this is kind of a fun term. Your gut is your stomach, but we also use gut to mean to remove everything in a place. If I bought a house and I walked into this kitchen, I would say, oh, this is a gut job. What that means is that I am going to take all of these cabinets out. I don't even know what that appliance is over there. I don't know what's on the wall, but I am going to gut this place. It is a gut job. I'm going to remove all of the ugly paneling, all of the cabinets. I'm going to take everything out. I'm going to make it all nice, and I'm going to put all new stuff in. If you ever watch home renovation shows in English, sometimes the people will look at a house and they'll say, oh, this bathroom is a gut job. It means they're going to take out the toilet, the sink, the bathtub. Everything is so old and probably falling apart that it's not worth fixing. To me, this is definitely a gut job. I would definitely rip all this out, go to the home furnishing store or the home renovation store and get new items for that room. Neglected. So when something is neglected, it means that it doesn't mean there's a raccoon living there, but it can. Buildings, cars, furniture, you need to take care of them. When something is neglected, it means no one is cleaning it. No one is fixing things on it. No one is, with a car, no one is changing the oil. With a yard, no one is cleaning up leaves. With a roof, no one is looking for holes made by animals. So when you use neglected to talk about something that isn't beautiful or that's getting old, it definitely means that there's no person taking care of it. There's no person maintaining it. No one is coming and checking on things. So if a building's neglected, then eventually animals can find a way in. If a car is neglected, eventually it stops running, because if you don't change the oil or check for oil leaks, eventually the car will break down. Derelict. Notice a lot of these words have similar meanings, like let me see here. Decrepit, ramshackle, run down, derelict. These all are very, very similar. This is a derelict building. A derelict building also will most likely be abandoned, because it's be hard to live in this, right? Like if you see, it looks like both end walls are just gone. Let me see if I can make it a tiny bit bigger. I'm wondering if the roof leaks. I actually wonder if that ladder is even safe to climb on anymore. But this building is definitely derelict. It's definitely falling apart. You could say that as well. So derelict also has in the meaning the sense that no one is there fixing things. In shambles. So after a storm goes through a city, it can be in shambles. After a teenager lives in a bedroom for a few months, the bedroom can be in shambles. It can simply mean things are a mess, or it can mean that things have been destroyed a little bit. I'm trying to think of another thing. Sometimes if you look in someone's car, it's just in shambles. Like there's just garbage everywhere. But definitely after a hurricane goes through a town or city, there will be areas that are just in shambles, where people need to clean things up. Things need to be repaired. Things need to be taken care of, for sure. Crumbling. So when something is crumbling, it means that it was solid and now it's starting to break into little pieces. This sidewalk is crumbling. Over here, the sidewalk looks nice, but way over there, you can see it's starting to crumble. It is crumbling. Crumbs, when you eat bread, little pieces of bread fall when you cut bread, and those are called crumbs. So we use this word to describe other things as well. This sidewalk is crumbling. The road is crumbling a little bit. Where I walk along the road, there's a few spots where the pavement is crumbling. So it was solid and nice, and now it's starting to fall apart, and there's tiny pieces. So it is crumbling. I have to watch one spot on the road because the road kind of goes like this, and it's even the side of the road, it's crumbling, and there's chunks of pavement everywhere, and it's a little bit unsafe. If I don't look down when I walk through that section, I could injure myself. Hey, let's do some questions. Let's actually do members only chat mode. Let me get a question up on the screen. Oh, nice question. Okay, members only chat. Let me turn that on. It is right here. If you're wondering what's happening, if you're one of the, what do we got here? 275 people watching. The lesson will continue in a few minutes. But if you are a member, you are free to ask questions directly in the chat right now. I'm just going to do an audio check. There we go. And I will continue to answer questions from the submission form as well. And I will finish the lesson. We have about 9 slides left. I'll finish the lesson in just a bit. From Curtis, hello, Uncle. Fancy a trip to the UK sometime? If you're up for it, where'd be the first spot you'd reckon to check out? I'd really like to go to the Cotswolds, which is a place in England where it's very beautiful. I definitely would love to go to London, England as well. If Jen and I do travel someday, though, we hope to be able to go for more than just a week. Like, I don't want to go on a 7-day whirlwind tour of London. I'd rather be there for a week in London, a week somewhere else, maybe a third week, but that's asking for a lot. So Freddie Wolf has given me a super chat. Hey, Bob, I couldn't be present while you attended the 2 million subscribers, or attained the 2 million subscribers reached, I think. I see a French verb there. I apologize for that. Nevertheless, I'm already caught it up. My congratulations for this well-deserved result. Thank you so much, Freddie, and thank you for the super chat, super sticker. I will use that to buy something to celebrate. John Wedge is here, says, hello, folks. I'm late today. No problem, John Wedge. Good to see you here. From Lahua. Hi, Bob. What is the difference between stale and dated? Yeah, they're very similar. I would probably use dated. Like, if you go into a classroom at a school that was built 50 years ago, you might say, this room looks really dated, or this room looks a bit stale. Maybe an apartment. Maybe you have a new apartment and you're moving to a cheaper apartment that's very old. You might say, this look is kind of stale. This apartment's a bit stale, but you would more likely use dated. They would understand what you mean, but I would say that, it's more likely that they would use dated. Yes. Clothes can be dated. An apartment can be dated. Like a room in a house can be dated for sure. Maybe you're going out to a restaurant. You'd be like, this restaurant's really dated. Like the chairs are really old and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, from the chat, John Wedge says, hey, Bob, congrats for your 2 million subscribers. You deserve it. Thank you, John. It is a fun feeling. Wanda says, hi, Teacher Bob. Congratulations for the 2 million subscribers. Title suggestion, describing deteriorated things and places. No questions today. Thanks a lot. That's not a bad idea. Deteriorated, describing, because I didn't want to just say old things. Although the one word lackluster maybe doesn't fit. But I'll just leave it in. It'll be like a little surprise. Let's see here. Let me do one thing. Let me share the link so people can ask questions using the form. It's getting a little empty. Mode says, hey, Mr. Bob, how would you describe the ball in the thumbnail? Deflated. Yes, definitely. Sorry, I might have missed it at the beginning. I don't actually have a slide with deflated. I should have done that. You could also just say it has a hole in it, or it's worn out. Oh, that soccer ball's worn out. Or here's another one. When a ball is deflated, you pump it up. And if it goes soft again right away, you say it can't hold air. That tire can't hold air, or that ball won't hold air. Because, you put pressurized air in. So yes, deflated, or if you wanted, because a ball can be deflated and it just needs to be pumped up. But if you say, don't use that ball, it won't hold air, it means it's definitely worn out and unusable. John Wedge, I was on vacation and last weekend I couldn't be here in the live stream. Now I have a lot of videos to watch. Oh, yes. Yeah. Key Park says 2 million subscribers now. Congratulations. Yes, 2 million subscribers. It's a little wild. It was really fun last night. I don't have that slide available anymore, but I started live streaming around 1:45, I think. And I did it about an hour, about 50 minutes in, 52 minutes in. It went from 1,999,998, 99, and then over to 2 million. So that was a lot of fun. Freddie says, yes, Bob, you should buy confettis and a fireworks. Well, you know, I'm kind of cheap. I jumped for joy last night. That was free. So I didn't mind doing that, but definitely something to celebrate. Jen said she was very happy for me. Another example of how you can be happy for someone. Like, I'm happy and Jen is happy for me. Hafiz, I'm wondering if the people who already use the form in the 2 million stream cannot post another question now. No, they are different forms, so they should be able to. Unless I made a mistake, that's always possible. But I don't think, I'm pretty sure it's a fresh, brand new form. I'm not using the same form as yesterday. There might just be less questions, which honestly is fine with me because I can get done earlier and go. I'm going to, it's rare, but I think I'm going to sleep again. I don't usually do that once I'm awake, but I'm certainly feeling like another little, more than a nap. Like I might crawl back into bed in a little bit. Let's see, what should we do? Let me check if there's a question. There is not. And there were quite a few questions. So I think the form's working right. Let me open this up a bit more. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to answer John's question. Now we're going to get to 4 million very quickly. Let's double that number. Let's see if we'll see. Honestly, I'm quite content where I'm at. If it continues to grow, that's great. Yeah, pretty happy. Mode says, thank you so much. I rewatched the bit where you jumped for joy and it made me smile and tear up. I'm just so happy for you and proud of what you've accomplished. I will try to jump again at 3 million. I'm going to hold off doing too much jumping. But yeah, you're very welcome, Mode. I have enjoyed doing this, as you know, I've mentioned a few times. Hafia, sleeping again? That's always a great plan. Yes. Vitor says, take care, Mr. Beast. Bob is coming. And Key Park says, it will be a celebrating weekend. Yes, I think I'm imagining everyone that I talk to who knows I do YouTube will probably be aware that this happened and maybe congratulate me. We'll see. Let me check the form here. We're good. I'm going to shortchange you guys on members only chat. I'm going to turn it off and I'm going to finish off the lesson. If you are a member and you still have a question, I will keep my eye on the chat, but I won't lie. I'm feeling a little bit eager to get this lesson done. We'll see how things go. Okay, here we go. Back to the slides. Decaying. So decaying is a little bit different. A sidewalk can crumble. Brick can crumble. But when we use the word decaying, we're usually talking about something more organic, like wood. I'm trying to think of something else that will decay. But it means that maybe there are insects eating this. Maybe there are other things that are causing it to fall apart like this. If I looked at a sidewalk like this one, I would say it's crumbling. If I looked at a piece of wood, I would probably say it's decaying or falling apart. That would be how I would describe it. Yes, sometimes, wood isn't the greatest thing to have exposed to the elements. Do you know that phrase? When something's exposed to the elements, it means rain and snow and sun can all hit it and cause it to decay faster or disintegrating. So crumbling and disintegrating are very similar. But I could use disintegrating to describe this as well. Basically, it's just another version of something falling apart. It's solid and little pieces are starting to fall off of it. It is disintegrating. This wall looks like it's disintegrating. It was probably at one time a really, really nice wall, and now it's starting to fall apart. It's starting to disintegrate. It is disintegrating. Hey, from the chat. Actually, let me go to this one. From the chat, we say Freddie Wolf saying, "Oh no, I'm silly for having done such easy grammar mistakes." No worries. You wrote something in English, which is awesome. Okay, je sors la tête basse. Je suis un peu honteux. No, don't worry about it, Freddie. You should have heard me yesterday. I had to speak French in a workshop, and I think I made 2 mistakes in my first sentence. From Sita, Hafiaz, hello. Yes, I was there before, then I fell asleep. Haha. And now I'm on my way to the office. It's been hard to be live with Bob nowadays, but when I have a bit of time, I'm always around. Good to see you, Sita. That's awesome. Okay, let's finish this lesson off. Let me get back to the slides. Fragile. Sometimes they'll find something that's really, really old, and every time you move it or touch it, it starts to fall apart. It's really, really fragile. I have a really old report card from when I was in kindergarten. So from when I was 5 years old. A report card is where the teacher describes how you're doing in class, but it's really, really fragile. The paper doesn't, if you bend it, it'll start to fall apart. This piece of clothing, obviously it's thousands of years old. You can't wear this anymore. It's probably kept in a special room because it's so fragile. So when something gets old, sometimes it gets very delicate and fragile, and you have to be careful how you move it. And sometimes you can't even touch it. Really, really old books are like this. I think you need special gloves in order to look at an old book. And then when you open it, it's just really fragile. You have to be very careful. Don't drop it, don't bend it, and sometimes don't touch it. Worn and worn out. Yeah, I found 2 nice chairs for this one. This chair is worn. So worn is a general description for something that's been used a lot and no longer looks the way it looked when it was brand new. This chair is definitely worn, but there's no real holes in it. I think you could still use this chair, but it's definitely worn. This chair, on the other hand, is worn out. You can see there are holes in the bottom part. It's close to falling apart. So hopefully you get the subtle difference. When something is worn, it can still be usable. You know, oh, his shirt was a little worn, but he wears it on Saturdays to do yard work. But when something is worn out, you usually stop using it because it looks like this, holes and everything else. Battered. So I couldn't find a great picture. So this is an AI picture, I think. I don't always use AI pictures, but I think this is one. When something is battered, it means that it gets hit by wind and rain and maybe waves constantly. So if you go and visit a lighthouse, the rocks around the lighthouse will look battered. They'll be rounded a little bit where the water hits them constantly. If you have a house beside the ocean, it probably gets battered with rain and storms, and maybe some salt from the waves even hits it, and it starts to look a little bit worn out. It starts to look battered. So definitely these rocks would be battered, and it looks like even on a really windy day, the lighthouse itself would be battered. In tatters. Now, some of you might think these look like brand new, fashionably awesome jeans, but to me, they look like they're in tatters. When something is in tatters, it means there's holes. We usually use this to describe clothing. If this shirt had like 5 holes, and if this pocket wasn't here and 2 buttons were missing, and there was a big rip in my collar, I would say the shirt is in tatters. It's definitely worn out. I do know that some people wear jeans like some people buy jeans that look like this because they enjoy the look. It's fashionable. But for me, when my jeans look like this, I usually say, oh, they're in tatters. There's like little strings hanging off and there's holes everywhere. They are in tatters. Oh, I like this phrase. Sometimes we just say that something has seen better days. This laptop has seen better days. Maybe you're visiting a friend and he has an old car that he doesn't drive anymore. You might say, wow, this car has seen better days. It simply means that a long time ago in the past, this laptop was brand new. This laptop was young and ready to help someone watch YouTube videos. But now it's old and the screen is cracked. It's definitely seen better days. You can use this to describe a house, a car, a computer, almost anything that looks like this, that looks really old. Would we use it to talk about people? Not really. I don't think so. I was trying to think. Yeah, but you could say, oh, that building has seen better days. Like maybe 100 years ago, it looked amazing, but now it doesn't. Ratty. So when something looks ratty, we often use this to describe clothing. You could use it to describe a building, but more so clothing. This shirt looks kind of ratty. Again, I'm assuming this shirt has been worn for a long time and the holes are from wearing it, but maybe this is just a fashionable look right now. But definitely this shirt looks ratty. People's hair can look ratty. Let's say I had long hair and I got up in the morning and it was pointing in all different directions. I hadn't washed it or combed it yet. You can say, oh, your hair looks really ratty this morning. So when something looks ratty, it looks like this. It's a little bit worn out. It has a few holes in it. It's starting to not look so good. Hey, that's the lesson. I'm going to answer some questions from the chat and from the forum. Let me go to the chat first. Some members in there. That looks nothing like the Portland headlight. No, I should have put that picture up there, but it's a little bit higher, so it wouldn't get battered. But the rocks along the shore would. That's a good point. I used an AI image, and I probably actually had an image myself. Let's see here. The laptop looks like it's been punched. Says Hafiz. Yes. Mode says, I never understood the appeal of ripped jeans. Honestly, I've had jeans that eventually got a hole in them, and I didn't wear them because they were fashionable. I wore them because I was waiting for a new pair of jeans to come to be delivered. Let's see. Okay, let's go to this question form. There's probably one or two left. There's one left. Last question, and then Bob can go to bed. William says, hello, Bob. Thanks for all. My question is, what is the best place that you had visited in Canada? Do you recommend it? Thanks. As a kid, we went to the East Coast. We went to see PEI and Nova Scotia. Those are the two of the three provinces out there, the maritime provinces. So PEI is Prince Edward Island. It was beautiful. Very, very cool. And Nova Scotia is on the ocean. Quebec City is amazing in Quebec. Montreal is a little busier. I think I liked Quebec City more. Ottawa is cool, our capital. Toronto is cool. Calgary Airport's cool. That's the only part I've been to. Vancouver and Victoria. Vancouver Island is really cool, and Victoria is really cool. So I can't really say because Canada's so big and the climate's a bit different, or you're close to different things. I would love to go to Banff as well. I've never been there. Let me check. We're done. No more questions. I did it. I did 2 live streams, both with very little sleep, but they were fun. So thank you to all of you who came and watched the 2 million subscriber live stream. You can still go watch it. You can watch the little clip where I jump for joy. Thank you for watching this lesson. This lesson will come out, remember, in a shorter format for easy viewing and listening in a couple days. It'll be about 25 minutes long. It's always good to re-watch something. Part of the reason why I think my channel does well is people, when I look at the stats, people tend to watch videos at least 2 times, the vast majority of viewers. And if you are learning English, watching an English lesson 2 times is really, really good. It will help you remember. It's not exciting. I mean, it's kind of boring to watch something twice, but it's just a really good habit to get into. Anyways, thanks for watching. Mode says, go back to bed, Mr. Bob. I honestly don't know how you managed to sleep between this and the celebration live stream. I just fell right asleep. Like I slept like a rock. It was great. Cat Diary says, thank you, Bob. Freddie says, currently the more the cloches are worn out, the more they're fashionable. A bit crazy. Yes. Lolly says, bye to a bunch of people. Thank you so much for the lesson, says Hockey John Wedge. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. Thanks for that, John. Anyways, I'm not going to hang around this time. I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. I'm going to now, I don't know if I would call it a nap or go back to bed. Like a nap would be, I just sit on this couch and go to sleep for a bit. And if you say go back to bed, it means literally just like crawl back into bed and sleep for a couple hours. We'll see. Anyways, bye everybody. You're all awesome. Thank you for hanging out.